Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to the monthly meeting of the Peabody Conservation Commission. Today is Wednesday, November 9th. Peabody Conservation Commission hearings will be held remotely until March 31st of 2023. Remote participation is allowed in accordance with Section 20 of Chapter 22 of the Acts of the 2021, signed into law by Governor Baker on February 12, 2022, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18, as extended by Section 20 of Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. Individuals may participate remotely in the meeting via a remote participation platform called Zoom. Tonight, my name is Michael Rizzo. I'm Vice Chairman. Stu Lazarus, who's our chairman, is unable to attend tonight, so I'll be sitting in for him as chairman. Tonight with us, we have Mike Vivaldi, secretary, Bruce Comack, commissioner, Arthur Athas, commissioner, Amanda Green, commissioner, and Rita Marie Cavicchio, commissioner. I think that's everybody. And of course, Lucia Del Negro, who's our conservation agent. Welcome, everybody. Our first item on the agenda is enforcement orders. Item number 1, it's a continued enforcement order issued to the Salem Country Club and Dan Mayor Tree for the following activities: removal of living trees, grinding, grubbing stumps in buffer zone in close proximity of jurisdictional resource areas and depositing wood chips in the buffer zone, along with local riverfront woods. Property address is known as 133 Forest Street in the city of Peabody. I think tonight's this item should be a fairly quick item, I believe, for this evening anyways. Our peer reviewer has noted to us that they are expended the funds that were provided for us through the Salem Country Club, and they're looking to have more monies put into the funds so they can continue the process of reviewing the restoration plan and seeing this project through to the end of its approval. And so I think tonight, Lucia, we have a letter from DeRosa Environmental summarizing the project and work that still needs to be done. And I think they were looking for the services completed work to date, including multiple site visits. So they were looking for $8,500 to take care of that, and then remainder of peer reviews for conservation agent meetings, site walks, documents, reviewing the restoration plan when we get that, and other items for an estimated cost of $28,000. So I think we're going to request Salem Country Club if they could provide those funds so we can keep this going. And if anybody's here from Salem Country Club wants to speak on this.
Mr. Rizzo, Lucia, could I ask you to promote Bill Rocco to a panelist as well?
Yeah. Hi, Barry.
Good evening. As well. So Barry Fogel from Keegan Worland for the Salem Country Club. We just today did receive from Lucia a copy of the proposed additional scope. We were taken aback, frankly, by not only the cost overrun on the original scope, but the enormous amount of money they're suggesting to finish this. I don't know how to put this, but we really can't see how the remaining work would be double the cost of what they've already done. So I guess what we'd like to do is actually ask that DeRosa break out that $28,000 that they're asking for into something that explains how they got to that number, because that just is shockingly high compared to even what they've already expended for all the field work that they've already done. I mean, the club is obviously prepared to support the peer reviewer through the final stages of this, but that just was, we couldn't figure out where that number could even have come from.
Okay. Yeah, I think we could probably ask them to break out some of those costs for you, so you could better get a handle on where it's going.
That would be helpful. We'd like to take a look at that and try to work out something that's we think would be more reasonable. We certainly understand wanting to have them involved through the review of the amended restoration plan.
Okay, so they're not here tonight, so we'll have to speak to them probably tomorrow or when Lucia can get a chance. We're going to make a motion to request additional funds from Salem Country Club in the amount of these two numbers. The total of $36,502.50 if this is what we agree upon, but this is just in the proposal letter. And I would ask that these funds be, provided for us to move forward. So we'll talk to DeRosa this week and see if they can get better explanation for you.
Thank you.
To that. I think we had also, Lucia, we have a couple other recommendations.
On from the money. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah, you have to turn your volumes down again.
You really can't hear me that much?
A little bit more. Can you go up higher?
I can sit closer. Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're not that clear. You were clear earlier when you were talking to me, but it seemed like you're distant.
Okay. Well, I'll just try to scream if you guys can hear me for right now, and then I'll figure it out in a bit. But we at least have to request, right now they're owed $8,502.50. And there was an itemized report that has already been submitted. So is there an issue with us collecting that? Because right now they're still owed that money.
Yeah, we did receive that today. I'll call it an itemized invoice for that. We haven't had a chance to fully review it, but Lucia, I'm sure the club will be able to bring the funds over to supplement for the original one while we're waiting to get some information on the updated scope for the new work.
Okay, so it's the updated scope that's shown as 28,000 that you need to break down for.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Well, should we make a motion on that now then, Lucia, or wait till, because we want to keep this thing moving?
Yeah, I would. Can you hear me? I just turned up my mic. Can you hear me better?
That's better.
All right. I mean, he's owed $8,502.50 right now. So, I mean, he has we need to collect that so that we can pay him.
Yeah.
And, if the 28,000, I think the reason, I mean, he sort of gives it the remaining peer review services and will include meetings, attend conservation meetings, site walks, document review, service leadings up to the amended enforcement order that allows the country club to implement the plan, and masked arborist consulting service pertaining to proposed restoration plan and tree evaluation. Just because they say 28,000 doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be 28,000.
Mm-hmm.
But he's already showed sort of the country club's already seen an itemized bill, and it shows, like the principal is like $148 an hour, and the, everyone else like $95 an hour, and how they broke it down 4 hours on a site visit. So I mean, the number jumps really fast. I mean, obviously they went through 15,000 and, 3 months. And this is going to be a 3 or 5 year monitoring program. So I think
Yeah.
that might be where he's coming up with that larger number.
So that first amount, the first bit of money was 15,000, you said?
I think that's what we opened the
Yeah.
account with, was 15 grand, and they've already spent, I think the invoice I sent to Barry today that's already been paid was just under 14. And then they still had, we owed the country club owed a little bit more, and then he did some more work, and now it's at 8,502 and 50 cents. So regardless of if we collect any money, someone has to pay that $8,502.
Well, Salem Country Club you'll pay that, right?
Well, just two things. One, the first scope we got was $7,000 for DeRosa and $8,000 for Ben Staples. The itemized invoice we saw was all time for DeRosa. So they've spent, if the 15,000 or whatever's been used up for DeRosa with some for Ben Staples, the arborist, that means that, DeRosa ran over quite a bit. We did note, just for the record, we did note that they bill in half-hour increments at DeRosa. That's something I've never seen lawyers or consultants do. I mean, usually you'll see quarter hours or even tenths of an hour, but they've got their time rounded to half hours and full hours. So we want to talk to Mike about that and find out how he can at least, justify those costs. But the extra $8,000 was never voted on by the. So two things, we'd like to ask that you formally vote to ask us to pay the overrun of the 8,500. And then ask for some supplemental money for this additional scope. But DeRosa is not going to be involved in monitoring for 5 years. That's to be done by the course. Peer review, I mean, we want to at least see a scope for that. There's sort of an annual inspection, but we want to have him break it out. The amount of time they spent in the field up till now was substantial. We recognize they were out there for the delineation. They were out there for a number of site visits that many of you were on. So we know that this number, where these numbers came from. They did a drone run. They watched the old videos of the meetings that happened before they got on board. We don't think there's that amount of work left to be done between now and when the restoration plan is submitted later this month and into when it gets approved. So we just want to see some breakout of that 28,000 that at least makes some sense for what we expect their tasks to be. But yes, if you guys vote to request that the club pay for the overrun, that'll get processed through the club.
So you're saying the $8,502.50 is an overrun?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the original amount?
15,000.
So 15, okay. All right, so, okay, we'll do that shortly. We'll do that. We'll request that. And then moving forward, I don't know the time and effort that'll be necessary, but we haven't even seen the restoration plan yet. So there's $28,000 is a lot of money to certainly me, but engineering wise, you're looking at, maybe a couple hundred man hours that would normally maybe take up $28,000, and a couple hundred hours for a team, might not be unreasonable considering, I work for an engineering company, you're a lawyer, and so
Right.
I can, it doesn't seem over the top or unreasonable. That could very well be money that would be used, but again, if it's not needed.
Let's put it this way. I'm sure that they must have based that estimate on some estimate, right? They must have thought, so we'd like to at least know how it broke.
Okay, I don't think that's unreasonable. We can do that. We will request that. So
Yeah,
I think,
through the chair.
yes,
Yeah, Mike, one of the things that Barry just said, which I'm a little don't really understand. he said that they're not going to be involved in monitoring. The club is going to monitor it. I don't think that's how it works.
The enforcement order actually says that the club shall conduct monitoring. So that's what I was speaking to, at least the way it was stated in your amended enforcement order.
Okay, I again, maybe that's what it says. I'm not, I'm not sure the exact wording, but in
Yeah, they need-
general, when there's a
they need site visit.
wetland replacement and there's some stuff done, professional has to, professional has to monitor it. And through whatever time frame you say. So if it's a 5-year time frame, and again, I don't think there's a lot of hours involved in that. It might be twice a year they come out and say, okay, yeah, they count the trees and whatever. But it's still, I can't imagine that we would just say, oh, yeah, go ahead, you tell us what the club's going to monitor it.
You can
So-
read the club will report and monitor and report, and then the commission and our consultant could do a site visit to check and verify.
So
So
no, I expect that Lucia and members of the commission, I don't, but if DeRosa was expecting that they're going to be involved in, that means the club's paying twice. The way the enforcement order reads, it says, upon completion of the restoration work, this is condition H, the club shall have a wetland scientist monitor the restoration area for the following 5 full growing seasons with written reports. Now, if the club's going to have someone other than Lucia and the members of the commission read those, we'd at least like to see how much time, if DeRosa's thinking he's going to be the third eye on this, or fifth eye, we'd like to at least know that and how much time he's expecting for that kind of item as well. But the way the enforcement order read, the club was to hire its wetland scientists to prepare reports for monitoring. So that's what we were
all
assuming.
right. Okay, well, let's not get bogged down too much. I appreciate your request. I think we can, it's not something that's not unreasonable to ask. So we'll try to get some feedback for you, and maybe Mike DeRosa can maybe clarify better what his vision is about reporting after the work has been done. So I think for now, I'd like to make a request that Salem Country Club request from the commission asking Salem Country Club to pay the recent invoice of $8,502.50 for work that was done by the team, which was over the $15,000 that was originally put in the account.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second by Michael. Okay.
Okay, I
Do you
have a-
roll?
Yep, can you hear me still?
Yep.
All right, and the second was Vivaldi?
Yes.
Okay, so that motion was made by Arthur, seconded by Secretary Vivaldi. Roll call, Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
All right, so that is 6-1. And Barry, if you want to send me an email tomorrow and just remind me about the itemized proposed for the 28,000.
Sorry. Yes, I will do that.
Okay, so we're not going to make a motion on the 28,000 tonight then. Is that correct, Lucia?
I mean,
I'd like to make a motion.
Can I make a suggestion, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Maybe a smaller amount, maybe half of that now. And then after we talk to them, if there's a supplement to that, but we don't want to not have funds in the account to cover whatever work he might be doing now and in the very near future. So one option would be to ask, make a motion for supplemental funds to be provided for half that amount, and we can talk about the rest once we see a breakdown. something like that. That way we won't lose momentum in having funds in the account to cover his invoices.
Okay. I guess I'm okay with that. I can't speak for Mike DeRosa, but it certainly will ensure that we don't lose time and we can keep things moving. So based on that, if we can make a motion to add $14,000 to the account or wherever that goes, Lucia, for
Escrow.
DeRosa to keep moving on the project, and this number is subject to change once Mike DeRosa prepares something for Barry to look at. And if we look at it and everything seems fine, we could know that we'll have to ask for more money afterwards, but everybody be on the same page. Does that
So
seem
moved.
fair?
So
Okay.
moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, so there's a motion to collect an additional 14,000 from the last motion, which was to collect $8,502.50 for the remainder of the fees over the 15K. So this new motion is to collect an additional 14K to put deposit into the escrow account. That price is subject to change. That was made by Bruce, seconded by Mr. Vivaldi. Roll call. Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
All right, so that is passed 6-0.
Okay. We're also going to make a couple motions this evening on issuing fines to Salem Country Club, as well as Mayor Tree. And the fine will be with regard to the removal of the trees that were cut down in the resource area. Let's see. So these egregious fine amounts may appear punitive to a judge. So the commission is looking to issue a fine to Salem Country Club in the amount of $69,900, which is based on the removal of 233 trees that were cut down in the resource area and wetland, and $300 per tree. So $300 per tree times 233 is $69,900. Do I have a second on that? Or
Through
do you have a motion on that? Do you have a motion on that?
So moved.
the chair.
Yes?
I disagree with that amount. You guys obviously are gonna do whatever you want, but I believe that, in reading, section 3251 and everything, I understand where you're coming from. I don't think it's enough. I mean, it's unbelievable what was done here. And then also, I think Dan Mayer should get fined. And then he should also get fined the $300 per day, but per tree, but he should also get fined for selling those trees from the wetlands. I disagree with the amount, but I mean.
What is your recommendation, Amanda?
Well, I'd like to. Dan Mayer gets $300 per tree, and then for the fine for taking them down, and then $300 per tree for selling them, and then for the Salem Country Club, it's kind of weird because it's like $300 per offense. It's like, what, I mean, offense, what is that, you know, and then each day,
Each tree is a separate offense.
yeah, and then, I mean, they took out trees, they, you know, they took out areas of, it, I mean, it's so much more than like each tree. I mean, Jesus, I would think more in the lines of, you know, like work commenced and then work was stopped by the, you know, somebody reporting them, and they have followed with the enforcement order. They've done a great job. They followed through with everything as soon as the enforcement order went through. But prior to this, it's like, you know, they asked for forgiveness instead of permission. It's like, hey, you know, no problem, but it is a problem. And I understand, like, it would be appealed and all that stuff, but it's gonna be appealed anyway, the amount, but I think from the commencement to the enforcement order, there's some wiggle room in there with adding at least a six-figure amount, like, I mean, it doesn't have to be, we don't have, you know, they've, you know, come around full circle. They understand what they've done and everything, but it still should be more. It should be, I mean, you don't have to go each day between commencement and the enforcement order, but I just think it should be more, should be at least double that.
I don't necessarily disagree with your thoughts, but I do know they're not in the bylaw and in the regs. They do put a dollar amount per offense, and the fence being 233 trees that were in resource or wetlands. So to put a different number on there, it's not something that we have in our bylaw, unless it's the fine or the work that we're asking them to do, they refuse to do, then those fines can increase dramatically, because those would be per day. But we're not at that stage yet, at least my opinion. I think.
And I understand that, like, I do think that the bylaws are kind of, they're not like, I think they're a little open to interpretation a bit, and
we're also you know, with our Mike DeRosa, our consultant, he weighed in on this, and he thought that was where we should be right now.
what about Mayor Tree getting fined? Is that-
Well, you didn't let me do that. No. There's another one. This was just for the Salem Country Club.
Okay,
So I don't know what the commission wants to do, if you want to entertain that motion, and then give us a second, unless you folks want to discuss this a little bit.
I just wanted to add to, I think that 69,900 figure is significant enough, and it's based on, it can be quantified from the original, from the bylaws, that, you know, if it goes to court, at least it's not just a number made up from what we think we'd like to see, but it's a number that can be put back and can be defended for with the bylaws, even if it does say per day, but, you know, at least it's that 69,900 is it's a fine that can be, I think is a significant, and it's defendable.
Anybody else? don't forget now, there's the restoration plan, and there's a lot of things that Salem Country Club has to do that's gonna be pretty expensive to accommodate everything.
Well, I mean, they cut down,
Oh, I know, I know that.
Jesus, we've been killing ourselves for a year on this thing. Where, you know, where's our time? And then it also, you know, like with what they took out, for example, like Arbor Day Foundation, in 1 year, a mature tree will absorb more than 48 pounds of CO2 from the atmosphere and release oxygen in exchange. So they're putting a certain amount back with the room, you know, that they got doing butterfly this or whatever, you know, but as commissioners, you know, section 3229, for all projects, the commission shall take into account the cumulative adverse effect of loss, degradation, isolation, and replication of protected resource areas and buffer zones throughout the community and the watershed, resulting from past activities permitted and exempt and foreseeable future activities. So we're never gonna get back to where we were, no matter what.
Well,
And
the restoration plan will, is
Yeah.
such that they need to restore the lost canopy with trees that will restore the canopy within 10 years. So that's,
I know, I read all that. I'm just speaking my piece.
yeah. Well, this comes at the recommendation of our consulting engineer also on this. So what's the commission doing?
I think I understand exactly what Amanda is saying, that when this first came before us, we were, you know, thinking this was really serious negligence on part of the Salem Country Club. And as we're going through the process, we seem to be working with them, and they are willing to restore and go along with our restoration plan. So I know it's a small amount when you're talking about the size of these trees alone. I know if I asked Maya Tree to come out and cut one of my trees down, it'd be a lot more than $300. So yeah, I think we should just keep it at that, because it is quantifiable in our in the code that we have, and we can identify the citation exactly. And so, and then in addition to the Salem Country Club, that amount of $69,900 will also be attributed to Maya Tree. So we're talking
Yeah, well,
about
that's
over 140,000 between the
we
both.
haven't made that motion yet.
Right. Well, that's what we're discussing.
Yeah.
I'd like to make that motion. Or if there's further discussion, go ahead.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to speak on the dollar amount of the fine and how we arrived at it? If not, somebody can make a motion.
I'll make that. The first motion would be a motion to have the conservation agent act on the commission's behalf and issue a fine citation per chapter 32-51 for the amount of $69,900 based on the amount of $300 fine per tree, there being 233 trees within the jurisdiction. So moved, and then I'll go on to Maya Tree after.
I second it.
A roll call. So that motion was made by Arthur, seconded by Mr. Vivaldi to fine the Salem Country Club the amount of $69,900 based on 233 trees times 300 as cited from our local ordinance 3151, or chapter 32, section 3151. Roll call. Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comac,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
No.
and Commissioner Athos.
yes,
All right, so that passes 5-1 with Amanda voting no.
I'd like to make another motion to have the Conservation Agent act on the commission's behalf and issue a fine citation for chapter 32, section 51 for the amount of $69,900. And we, based on the amount of $300 per tree cut, 233 trees. And this fine is issued to Dan Meyer or Meyer Tree. So move.
Have a second?
Second.
Second by Michael Vivaldi.
Yep, so that motion was made by Arthur Athos, seconded by Vivaldi to fine Mayor Tree, Dan Mayer, 69.9. And I did speak out of line last time. I said 31. I don't know where I got that. My notes were wrong. It was chapter 32, section 51 of the local ordinance. So that roll call, Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comac,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
No.
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes,
So that passes 5-1 with Amanda voting no.
Okay. That's kind of all we have on this tonight, because we haven't, restoration plan hasn't been submitted. I'm not sure. I wish Mike DeRosa could have been here tonight, but unless you folks, anybody else has anything more on this, this would be what was being covered on the agenda. Yes, Barry?
Just want to close with a quick update. So one of the provisions in the amended enforcement order was to remove wood chips where they were present. And so in accordance with that condition, Bill Rocco communicated with Lucia and Mike DeRosa about the method that was going to be used. A small excavator to scrape away in the thickest areas and get it back to 4 inches. And that work, Bill, correct me, has all been completed. And so we just want to let you know that we've already been taking action. The club's been taking action in compliance with the amended enforcement order.
So you didn't back them out, you removed it with an excavator?
Go ahead, Bill can describe it. It was a mini excavator and they were put into a vehicle to be driven away from, taken away from the course.
Yeah, just like Barry said, we used equipment that was looked at and overseen, and that I oversaw the removal, and we had our wetland scientist Mel Higgins on site today to look at the work. He was very pleased with it. Only found 4 small areas under 800 square feet that we'll do our finishing touches tomorrow, but it was pretty successful, and we've accomplished our goals of getting any heavy wood chip areas out of there. But yeah,
So
we
the
still have
excavator didn't cause a lot of damage to the understory and the growth, the ground cover?
0. Yeah, I mean that's where these wood chips were. They had nothing was under them. So and that's where it was. It was easy.
Bill, if I'm correct, trying to interrupt, the areas were accessible directly from the course.
Very accessible. Yeah, I mean, and they were right on the woods line. You didn't have to drive over anything, and they were, nothing underneath them, so it was no damage.
Bill reviewed the particular equipment and how it would be done with Mike and Lucia ahead of time, as called for in the order.
Okay.
Update, and we actually got the figures from DeRosa that we're going to use for the planting plan that's to be submitted by the end of the month.
Okay. All right, so is that all, Lucia?
A motion to continue, and then I would also suggest after the continuance, if we maybe skipped 2 and 3 and came back to them and went straight to number 4, because I know there's a lot of people in the audience for that one. But I would suggest definitely continuing the Salem Country Club until December meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to continue till December.
Make a motion to continue this enforcement order for until December meeting, December 14th, 2022.
Seconded.
Okay, roll call. Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes,
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio,
yes,
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
okay.
Arthur,
Arthur, where'd you go?
I mean, we can just do it 5-0 with Arthur not voting. It should
Okay.
be fine.
Okay.
But I would suggest, if you guys don't mind, I don't think anyone's here for number 2 or 3, but we can come back to that after. I would suggest skipping to number 4 and take 40 Oak out of order.
Okay. There's nobody here for those other 2, otherwise I would want to take those in order, but if they're not here, then we'll just move on to 4 and come back to those. So if that's okay with everybody, then we'll go to item 4, which is under notices of intent. It's a continued public hearing on notice of intent submitted by Hancock Associates for Michael Larkin, 40 Oak Street Development LLC. The proposed work is the site improvement and redevelopment, which includes a 40B housing project, paved vehicle and pedestrian access, landscape areas connecting to municipal utility services, and a storm management system. The property is known as 40 Oak Street, map 95, lot 89X in the city of Peabody. Is there somebody here to speak on this matter?
Good evening, Mr. Vice Chairman. Joe Pesnola from Hancock Associates,
Good evening.
representing 40 Oak LLC. Mr. Chairman, I'll make this quick. We're respectfully going to request a continuance without testimony so we can preserve the chairman's involvement. We had worked very hard on a request that came specifically from the chairman to do some animation. So we think it's important that he be involved in the discussion. Secondarily, we had done a contract extension for Janet Bernardo's continuing involvement for peer review. And I just found out today that unbeknownst to us, that contract modification did not involve attendance at a meeting. And we think it's critical that the commission request her attendance at an upcoming meeting, because I think the crux of what we were, what the commission was looking for at the last meeting was feedback from her as to whether or not she felt the project met the performance standards. So we're happy to work through an additional contract mod, additional funds, whatever it takes to have Ms. Bernardo at the next meeting, hopefully with the chairman. And I think we'll be prepared at that time to go over what where we are and hopefully wrap this up. So again, we request a continuance without testimony to preserve the chairman's ability to stay on.
Okay. I think I see the mayor's in the audience. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, everyone. It's been some time since I've been with all of you. I greatly appreciate the work that you do for the city. It's important. and I'm very appreciative of Lucia's work as well. So, yeah, I wanted to be heard on 40 Oak. There's a long history to that project that has had a lot of different pieces to it that I wanted to give some background on and kind of talk a little bit about where we're at in terms of that project. And so I'm certainly, if the board would like to grant that request to continue, I'm fine with that. I can come back at another time, but I just with so much history to this project and things, I wanted to give a perspective from my seat, and so I'm happy to go with the wishes of the board.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have to grant the continuance right away, do we? There's people here who want to talk.
With all due respect, Mr. Chairman, I believe that, at least from our request, the purpose of our request is to preserve the chairman's ability to partake, and if he misses commentary that's made during the hearing, then that may impact his ability to stay as a voting member on this item. It is a request that we're making. Certainly, I would look for the commission's cooperation in that.
Okay. Yeah, as much as I'd like to see this, come to an end, close this hearing, I respect your request to extend to next month so that Stu could be here. I don't really have a problem with that. If anybody else in the commission does, please speak up. Not seeing nothing from the commission. So, Mr. Mayor, would you want to come back next meeting rather than have to speak tonight?
That would be fine. I'd happy to attend and offer my perspective at the next meeting.
Okay. Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to continue this to our next meeting.
To continue.
Second.
By Amanda, I believe that was seconded by Bruce.
Yes.
Sure.
Roll call, Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Mike?
Sorry about that. Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio,
Yes,
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes,
All right, so that is continued 6-0. I believe the next meeting is December 14th.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Bye.
Thank you, Mayor.
nice seeing you.
All right. So all the people that did show up tonight on this matter, I apologize. Hopefully we can get this wrapped up at our next meeting. Based on that, I'm gonna go back to items 2 and 3 then.
Let's go to 5, I think. Let's go to, come back to 2 and 3 at the end of the meeting.
Yep, 5 doesn't need a motion.
Yeah.
Right, but continue forward.
All right, if Lucia, if somebody shows up on those other 2 items, then just,
No one's showing up on either 2 or 3 because I didn't request them to. I just have little
Okay.
updates. It's neither of them are a big deal. We honestly don't even need to
no, I
talk
know.
about them. We can
I know,
just continue them.
just trying to keep a matter of order. But that's okay. I'm okay with moving on.
I mean, if you want to just go back to 2 and 3 and just continue both of them, that's all that really is needs to happen, is to just continue them to
All
December.
right, okay.
Okay, you want to do that? Then let's do that. That'll take 5 minutes. All right, so going back to under enforcement orders, Item number 2 is a continued enforcement order issued to Pedro Polini for work located at 60 Warren Street. The property owner has done various projects in Riverfront without a permit from the commission. The most egregious issues is the failing retaining wall and the stormwater drainage pipes into Proctor Brook. We're going to continue this. I have a motion. Do I have a motion to continue this item till our next meeting?
To continue.
Have a second?
Second,
Second by Michael.
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
yes.
Commissioner Comac,
Bruce?
He's trying.
Yes, I don't know, I don't know why, but it keeps muting itself. I don't know why.
I have
thought
to
you-
mute because
you were
you're
watching the
causing
screen.
feedback. No, I have to mute some of you guys because it's causing feedback. If like Mike was talking and you couldn't hear it, but I don't know if everyone else heard it, but there was feedback on my end. I won't
Okay.
mute it anymore. It will just be, it's just gonna be, people aren't gonna be able to understand. Commissioner Cavicchio,
Yes,
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes,
All right, so that's continued 6-0.
Okay, item number 3 is also under enforcement orders. It's issued to Alfred DeMambro, trustee of Regency Realty Trust for work located at 11 to 13 Wallace Street. It's ongoing, as well as historic violations on this property, illegal dumping and appliances, stockpiling of various items in the riverfront floodplain, fill in FEMA flood area, and alteration of riverfront without a permit, and ongoing use as what appears to be a contractor's yard. So we're still waiting to hear from the violators. So we'll continue this until our next meeting next month. Do I have a motion to continue item number 3
January.
to January, sorry.
I'll make a motion to continue the project for 1113 Wallace Street, January 2023.
I second.
Second, I'm Rita Marie.
All right, so that motion is made to continue to January, made by Mr. Vivaldi, seconded by Ms. Cavicchio. Roll call, Chairman Rizzo. or
Yes,
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
yes,
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes,
Commissioner Comac,
Yes,
Commissioner Cavicchio,
Yes,
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
yes,
All right, so the item is continued 6-0.
okay, so now we'll go to item number 5. And item number 5 is under notices of intent to continue public hearing on a notice of intent submitted by GZA Geoenvironmental Inc., Dan Nietzsche for Emmanuel and Rose Papanikolaou owners, and DJ Raymond Transportation Inc., Will Boyd as the applicant. Proposed work is the construction of a stormwater filtration basin partially within the buffer zone to a wetland resource. Property is known as 25 Farm Ave, map 69, lot 6 and 7, in the city of Peabody. This item is continued until our December meeting. No motions necessary. Item number 6 is also under notices of intent. And that's a continuation of a public hearing on a notice of intent submitted by Hayes Engineering by Anthony Capichetti for Site 10 Residence LLC, Arthur Pimentel. Proposed work is the construction of a multifamily residential building with associated driveways, parking, access, and utilities within the buffer zone to a BVW and an IVW. The property is known as 190 Rear Newbury Street, map 35, lot 38A, in the city of Peabody. And I think there's the recommendation to continue this requested recommendation to continue to December 14th. Is that correct, Lucia?
Back is is here. Attorney Kilty, if he wants to formally request that on his client's behalf.
Okay,
Am I unmuted?
yes,
Thank you. John Kelty, for the record, attorney, 40 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass, appearing on behalf of J.G. Backlund Associates. I am respectfully requesting that this matter be continued to your December meeting, which, as has been stated earlier, is December 14th. We have made great progress, and just to bring you up to date, our most recent plan that is before Department of Public Services for its review has we've been requested to lower the amount of fill we're putting on the city easement, which would be a reduction in even the current amount of fill that's on there. We've agreed that we would satisfy that condition, and as such, we're asking for a continuance to your December meeting so that that plan can be redrawn and the appropriate adjustments made on the stormwater management as it impacts Conservation Commission. So I would respectfully request that we be continued to the December 14th meeting, at which I would hope that we would be in position to have an order of conditions issued.
very good. Okay. Seeing that, does anybody want to make a motion to continue this to our next meeting, December 14th?
To continue.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it. Rita. Thank you.
All right, roll call. That motion was made by Amanda, seconded by Rita. Bruce, I did have to mute you again, so you're gonna have to unmute. Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes,
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes,
All right, so that is continued till December 6-0.
all right. Item, moving on, item number 7. Item number 7 is under certificates of compliance. To continue request for full certificate of compliance as made by Giovanni Fodera, PE, on behalf of Mike Mesek for DEP file number 55-612. The project was a demolition of an existing building and the construction of a new structure. The address is known as 23 Central Street, map 85, lot 19X in the city of Peabody. A partial certificate of compliance has previously been issued. So this project's an older project. Original order was for the demolition of the building, existing building, and the construction of a new building. The building has been demolished and reconstructed since 2006. So I think Lucia's looked at this. And I do have a letter. Let's see, where is it? All right, I do have a letter from Fodder Engineering with regard to requesting the full certificate and a little bit of an explanation relative to base elevation. So I looked at that. I don't see apparently the original plan was on an assumed benchmark. And so I think the numbers looked skewed, but the conversion from going to the today's elevations from USC and GC from NGVD 1929 and then converting again to NAVD 88. So if the petitioner wants to talk about this, we can move forward.
Hi, my name is Giovanni Fodera. So I was acting as a consultant just to submit the certificate of compliance, and we had Dave Taranzoni do the survey. And I wasn't here for the previous meeting, but from my understanding, there was confusion about the datum, and we corrected that datum to reflect NAVD 88, just like the vice chairman said. As for the building location was built in the correct location as where it was approved from, previously approved in 2004. So the site satisfies this order of conditions, and it's been built accordingly. And we request that it's a close out the order.
Okay. Lucia, do you have any other questions? I'm okay with this. I'm good.
The only thing
Anybody
I
else?
had- I think the only thing I had is there an operation and maintenance plan? Like, what is the stormwater on the property? Because I don't think there was ever one submitted with the original NOI. Is there even any catch basins on the property?
Giovanni, we don't have any underground collection areas, no. So there's nothing to maintain. This is Jack Kelty, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Am I correct, Giovanni?
That is correct.
Yeah, so their an operation and maintenance program would be inappropriate in this instance.
Okay, and my understanding is the existing grade, before the building was demolished, and the proposed grade with the new buildings are relatively in the same spot.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what the last meeting we were at, Giovanni was unable to attend that particular meeting. And it was brought to our attention that the plan that was submitted along with Mr. Federa's filing and his letter, which accompanied, we were utilizing an incorrect datum. And as Lucia had pointed out at the last meeting, it would have you believe that we had added 6 feet of fill, which was not the case. We reconverted, got on the appropriate datum, and that is now we have a plan which buttresses the notion that it was built at the correct elevation and no fill was added.
Okay. I just had just a minor question on the benchmark. These grades reflect the conversion to NAVD 88. My question is, on the benchmark, RM4, so is the elevation on the benchmark still the old NGBD 1929 elevation?
That is correct.
28.159.
Yes, it's on the 1929 datum.
Okay. Okay, and then these plans represent the conversion from that to NAVD 88.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. If there's no other questions from anybody, I'll take a motion to issue a full certificate of compliance. Somebody?
I'll make a motion to issue a full certificate of compliance for the property at 23 Central Street.
Okay, and how about a second?
Second.
Second by Bruce.
All right, that motion for a full certificate of compliance on DEP file number 55-612 was made by Mr. Vivaldi, seconded by Mr. Comack. Roll call. Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio,
yes,
Commissioner Green,
Yes,
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes,
So that passes 6-0.
Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Moving on, item number 8 is also a request for a full certificate of compliance made by Michael Gillis. On DP file number 55-654, the project was a one-story addition to an existing single-family home. The address is known as 3 Linfield Street, map 102, lot 29, in the city of Peabody. I think Lucia's looked at this, or everything appears to be done, so somebody want to make a motion to issue a full certificate of compliance for 3 Linfield Street?
So the addition was on top of the existing property? Existing house?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a one-story addition. Yep.
One-story
So it
addition
must
to
have-
existing- Yep,
So it must have been beside it.
beside it, okay, I was thinking on top of it. I'll make a motion for a full certificate of compliance for the property at 3 Linfield Street.
Second,
Second by Arthur.
Motion made by Mr. Vivaldi, seconded by Arthur, to issue a full certificate of compliance for DP file number 55-654. Roll call, Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes,
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio,
yes,
Commissioner Green,
Yes,
and Commissioner Athos.
yes,
All right, so that passes 6-0. The property owner is here, but he doesn't really need to speak. Everything is fine. It was just a single family addition, and the property looks fine.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Our next item is item number 9 on the violation order. It's a violation order issued to Idania Pena for alteration of local buffer zone, groundwork, retaining wall construction, and an addition to a single-family house. Property address is 37 Bowditch Street, map 75, lot 77, in the city of Peabody. So the owner will be at our December hearing for an after-the-fact filing. So Lucia's requested erosion controls to be installed, and and if they submit their paperwork for a after-the-fact filing for our next meeting, everything will be fine. Otherwise, Lucia will issue an enforcement order. Is that
Through the
correct,
chair.
Lucia?
That
Cool.
is correct. So they have until tomorrow. The deadline is tomorrow for December. So we'll find out how crazy our meeting is going to be in December. Yikes. We have a bunch of big stuff coming. So yeah, so as I think they're going to get me everything. I know that they've been working on it. So I don't even think you don't need a continuance right now, because if they don't give me the paperwork, it'll just be on the agenda again next month and we can talk about
Okay.
it.
Very good.
Yeah, through the chair, was this? I mean, they were issued a building permit, correct?
Oh, no, no, they got caught. It was a pretty big deal. It's honestly more of a big deal to the neighbor next door and his house being compromised than to the wetlands. Everything wetland related, I have the site stable as far as wetlands. As far as the guy next door and his foundation, that's a different story. So a building permit has been issued because they need to like make sure that they started digging so close to the house next door's foundation without a permit that the building commissioner and the building department was worried that the guy next door's house was going to be compromised. So he has to, I had to sign off on that permit with the stipulation that they need to file an after the fact with us.
Okay, but so I just want, the only thing I want to clarify. The people at 37 Bowditch Street started digging to put a foundation in on a home without a building permit.
Happens a lot. It happened at 49 Newberry, or 47 Tremont. The guy just started digging a commercial foundation without a foundation permit. And I showed up and I go, hey, do you have your foundation permit? And he's like, no. And I was like, well, why are you digging a foundation? I don't know, people, it doesn't register that they need to get a permit to dig a hole, apparently. So
Wow.
Well, you don't need a permit to dig a hole, but if you're gonna put a building in that hole, you do.
yeah, and so there you go.
All right.
They're
I
just digging the hole, getting it ready for a foundation. Hey.
Picky.
Okay.
So,
All
but
right.
I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna hopefully get the paperwork tomorrow. And if not, I mean, honestly, the wetlands are fine. The erosion controls were put down within like 24 to 48 hours, no problem. The other part, I mean, about the house, I don't know what's going on with that. That's up to the building department to figure out.
Okay.
All right.
Very good. On the other matters, was Lucia's still working on some minutes for October, September, October. And that's it. That's it for tonight. Any
It's
discussion on anything?
That's a record for me since I've been here.
Except that this summer's gonna be brutal.
Yeah,
We
so
need
do we
to
have a
talk
motion
really
to
extra
adjourn?
I'm just glad, Arthur, you didn't ruin the no-hitter. All right, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself the rest of the night, but
Yeah.
I'll
Motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second Bruce's motion.
All right,
You want to just, I actually, I'm gonna just do a roll call just to be, so motion to adjourn, roll call, Chairman, Vice Chairman Rizzo,
yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
All right, so the meeting adjourns at 8:17.
Right.
Good night.
See you
Thank you,
all
folks.
December 7th, hopefully.
Number
Yeah.
7.
December 7th, right?
Yeah,
Thanks, folks.
RSVP if I will. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, PAT. Thank you, James.
Thank you.